World Championship Wrestling Great American Bash 2000. This is the 10th edition of the pay-per-view it happened June 11th and ran 2 hours 44 minutes. We open with that WCW star logo, which I thought was cool, just didn't go all the way. We then recap 2 weeks ago when Bill Goldberg returned, along with Nitro and Thunder, going on with Bill information where he fights Tank Abbott, and Thursday, where Bill got arrested. Outside the Baltimore arena, cops are watching and waiting for Bill to arrive because why couldn't he show up to a show for a company that he works for on time? They then hype up some insane matches, including a set your opponent on fire Human Torch match between Vampiro and Sting. Oh no, this definitely was not a good idea. Our opening contest sees no longer Disco Inferno, but Disco, spelled with a Q, accompanied by the Filthy Animals of Juventud Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Konnan, and Tigra. Disco challenges for the World Cruiserweight Championship, and although in WCW it was 225 pounds and under, I'm still not convinced that Disco is qualified for the title, but that is what it is. He is challenging Lieutenant Loco, who used to be or ought to be called Chavo, and I'll probably call him Chavo throughout. He's accompanied by the Misfits in Action, who I'm probably just going to call by their prior names. Heavy Metal Van Hammer, Lash LaRue, Major Guns, and Hugh Morris. Definitely one of the strangest groups in WCW history, I swear. At least Mysterio, Juventud, and Konnan are cool. Tiger, former Nitro girl, okay, fine. And Disco, he really doesn't fit, but I guess they were real life friends, so be it. Disco got a really nice explosion during his entrance, which I find surprising, but he is friends with Russo in real life, right? They're pals, because I think I heard Disco pitch an alien invasion for WCW. Speaking of Disco, why is he dressed like Kobe Bryant? That's really weird to be cosplaying as a basketball player for this Cruiserweight title match. Although Chavo, as Lieutenant Loco, isn't dressed in wrestling gear either, so that's just what we're doing in this match, is having a wrestling match but not dressing like we are wrestlers. Disco opening the match by slapping Chavo in the face is a very terrible plan, and it doesn't help when he brags to his friends on the outside, turns around, and then Chavo goes crazy, or Loco as the moniker is. Part of me feels like Disco is being wrestled around more than he's actually participating in the match. Since Chavo Guerrero is far superior than Disco Inferno, at one point, Disco's outside with the Misfits, but they don't attack him and just ensure that he gets back in the ring. Conversely, Chavo was outside and Konnan and Mysterio strike, so the Misfits run over to make the save. Both Loco and Disco get back in the ring, and a General Patton wannabe, who the commentators tell me is Hugh Morris's grandfather, comes out, and this Pops guy has a fake heart attack. Juventud and Lash LaRue both get involved, but the referee is too concerned with Hugh Morris's grandfather. It's ridiculous. The match only lasts 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Chavo retains, and it was a totally passable 2 out of 5 stars match. In the post-match shenanigans, we see Major Guns give that Pops character mouth-to-mouth, and it just seemed terrible. A bunch of BS that was not needed. We pop to the back, and Eric Bischoff is sitting with the cat having a conversation about the cops. Then we see Johnny the Bull Stamboli and Big Vito with Mean Gene. This is to hype up their upcoming tag match on the show. The Mama Lukes versus Chronic in a number one contenders tag team title match, or tag team match to crown the number one contenders for the tag team titles. Okay. Big Vito and Johnny the Bull feel like they are the inspiration for Tony D'Angelo's family gimmick in NXT. Man, if Young Oz from 2000, or heck, even the 1990s, had the ability to push people, both Brian Adams and Brian Clark, Chronic, would have been pushed as much bigger stars. Both guys are in tremendous shape and humongous. They just feel like stars. When Johnny the Bull tags in Vito, he is still wearing the Hardcore Championship that he had come to the ring wearing. And this is a fun idea to not take off the title. When Johnny is legal, Clark finally gets a rest, tagging out to Adams. Whether in Demolition, solo as a good guy, with Mr. Fuji, or in the Nation of Domination, Brian Crush Adams was a guy I thought could have gone places, higher on the card specifically. When Brian tags in Brian Clark attempts a pin, but Vito will not let that happen. After a tremendous DDT, Johnny tags Vito in, who is still wearing that hardcore title. After a Brian and Brian double team, Vito's title is finally removed. Adams hits the highest of high angle F5s probably in the history of wrestling. Looked rather dangerous. Johnny misses an attempt at a flying crossbody. Chronic win with their finish at 9 minutes 20 seconds. And it was a totally fine 3 out of 5 stars match. Cut to the back, Diamond Dallas Page is with a blonde interview lady who I do not recognize. She talks about how DDP is taking on the career killer in an ambulance match. DDP is always super cool and very calm. Mike Awesome versus Diamond Dallas Page with Chris Kanyon in an ambulance match. I didn't remember Mike Awesome having such awful music, and DDP's self-high five being such money really makes Mike's music stand out as just super bad. DDP wheels out Kanyon, who is wearing a neck halo, 100% odds this will backfire on Page. The announcers put over how Awesome is the reason that Kanyon is in the condition. Very uncomfortable seeing Kanyon like this, until I realized that there's no way it's real. DDP punches the referee basically at the complete start of the match. Mike and Dallas go to fight in the crowd so very early. Both guys back in the ring having chairs, and they basically have a sword fight with chairs, which was amusing. DDP is potentially in the best shape of his wrestling career. Obviously now he is known for getting other people clean and in healthy shape. Love Dallas. Mike is so very agile for a man his size. I'm blown away that Vince didn't give him a bigger role in or after the invasion. No offense to other talents, but pushing, say, John Heidenreich and not Mike Awesome just feels strange to me. This ambulance match, having EMTs assisting the downed wrestler onto the gurney, is so odd because it is uncommon. But I guess if we were to believe that they are real health professionals and not clearly power plant guys, they would help, right? Whoever is making the decision to cut to Chris Kanyon on the stage, I assume Russo, is driving me nuts. The foreshadowing of the turn is way too obvious for my liking. Mike sandwiching Page between two chairs and then going for a big splash only to crash and burn leads to Kimberly, Dallas's ex-wife, coming down and using a lead pipe, which causes Stacy Kubler to then arrive, and both women fight to the back. This finish is so overblown. Wow. Beautiful. Dallas hits a diamond cutter off the top rope with the medical technicians wheeling Mike. This allows Page to be free and stop Easy, Sleazy Eric Bischoff from hitting Chris Kanyon with a chair, only for Kanyon to get up, hit DDP with his own diamond cutter off of the stage, and Chris then helps Mike win at the 9-minute 41-second mark. I really feel like that the ending was ruined because so much stuff was done so compact, and it was just a passable 2 out of 5 stars match. If they'd have had, I don't know, this stuff split up, or possibly the ending wasn't so convoluted, I could definitely have seen, given what Mike and Paige did, this getting a better score. It was just the ending that took me out. This is followed up with by Booker T rappelling from the ceiling down into the ring onto the top rope for a boot camp match where Booker T portrays G.I. Bro taking on Shawn Stasiak. Perfect Shawn also comes out in military gear and with camo on his face, which is so not Mr. Meat Planet Stasiak. But he is leaning into the gimmick match. Shawn is one half of the tag team champions, but for some unknown reason, he is in a one-on-one contest. The rules of this boot camp match are generally the rules of a last man standing match, except in cosplay. It's a very back and forth at the start when it hits me that this show suffers from an inability to stay in one place, for any amount of time, that is. All the matches ping pong inside and outside the ring, and they just don't let anything breathe. All the matches, whether it be the tag match, it went inside and outside. The opening singles contest, inside outside. Ambulance match, inside outside. And now the boot camp match suffers from what I'm going to call new puppy syndrome, where I want to be inside. No, I want to be outside. No, I want to be inside. No, I want to be outside. Stasiak getting busted open doesn't stand out nearly as much with all of the paint on his face. The referee gets as high as an 8 count at one point, but Booker gets up before the 10. Booker then gets the fans to count to 10 when he puts Stasiak in the corner and does the rapid punches gimmick. Mark Madden on commentary puts over how Shawn has been raised in the wrestling business since Stan the Man Stasiak is his dad. The referee gets to 8 again, only this time it is Booker who breaks the count, not Stasiak. Stasiak feels like he never learned to be patient, which, I'll be honest, was one of my hardest lessons to learn in the wrestling business, which was to slow down. This may have been 13 minutes and 58 seconds, but it just felt so very rushed and, I'll be honest, lame. It's a fail. 1 out of 5 stars for me. It very well could be the least entertaining Booker T match I've seen. He will be dropping the G.I. Bro BS very soon and going back to Booker. G.I. Bro hit a great missile drop kick. I like Booker T winning, but I hate that he took out both Shawn Stasiak and Chunk Palumbo, the tag team champions. That's not cool. In a backstage segment, Mean Gene confronts Kanyon, who refers to himself as Positively Kanyon, and says Eric Bischoff promised him DDP's spot if he turned on his friend. They also show us Paige didn't stay in the ambulance, but I'm pretty sure that information was only there to lead to the knowledge Goldberg has arrived. Could be why, Paige was shown leaving the ambulance. But Bill arriving in his monster truck, which is adorned with his logos, it just feels weird. Like, it's not like Bill actually drives his own monster truck, right? And also, he arrived so late. This show is so odd. Out next is Shane Douglas, who is a good wrestler. That's a good sign. But he's out cutting a promo, which isn't a good sign. And he says that he wants his upcoming tables match to be changed to a best 3 out of 5 tables match against the wall. This is not a good thing. Even before the match begins, the concept of getting put through a table or more than one table and then continuing to try and put your opponent through a table / more than one table is super irritating. My only hope is that Shane Douglas can bring something out of the wall. It seems like to me that this is Shane attempting to, much like how Triple H did with the Great Khali, prove that he can pull a main event level or caliber match out of a less than main event level talent. Obviously, that didn't work with Hunter. I'm not going to break down this BS segment disguised as a match. Shane goes through 2 tables at ringside, and the Wall goes through 3 tables up on the stage. It was only because Shane Douglas hit the Wall with brass knuckles, sending him off of a ladder that they were both standing on for no particular reason other than it was there, I guess. The Wall basically no-sells the falling through three tables when he chokeslams referee Slick Johnson through another table. This whole segment was 8 minutes and 12 seconds, and it was absolute trash. It was 0 out of 5 stars. So pointless. That was the halfway point. That was the 5th of 5 matches. I am now certain not one match will be any good on this show. Thank you for being here at Mr. Super Oz. This video is going out, and this channel only exists because I, Oz, founded Gamble Comics, which first release was Everlasting Survivors, a 68-page graphic novel called All Day Long. Available now. Follow the link in the description that will take you to gamblecomics.com. While there, you can get hats, shirts, posters, much, much more, but most importantly, the story itself. In the parking lot, Hollywood Hogan now arrives, and why not? I guess you can just show up to work whenever you feel like it. It's not like the show's been going for over an hour at this point. Super dumb. Back at ringside, and Tank Abbott is on his way out. One person has a Tankberg sign, which I thought was funny. Tank is teaming up with Rick Steiner to take on Scott Steiner, who's accompanied to the ring by Madeja and Shakira, for an Asylum match. Big Papa Pump is the United States champion and a good guy? Just like Sean Stasiak before him, this is a non-title match. I don't understand the choice of having champions show up, have a contest, and have it not be for the title. Like, why do we have Chuck Palumbo only do a run-in, and then we have Big Papa Pump being one of the weirdest looking cages I've seen ever? As the cage is lowered, even though Jim Ross is in the other company, I can clearly hear him saying, "This is going to be bowling shoe ugly." I enjoy the referee not getting inside the cage with the 3 guys since this asylum is so tiny. Scott is clearly the good guy since he is selling for his brother and Tank. But Abbott wants to take things further than Rick is willing to go. And then this handicap dynamic switches quick, and just in 3 minutes 46 seconds, Scott Steiner taps out Tank Abbott because Rick wouldn't cheat the way that Tank wanted. It was totally passable. 2 out of 5 stars match. I like that the big bad booty daddy didn't waste any time and just got the job done. For the 3rd time, we see a good guy arrive late to the show. I believe wholeheartedly Vince Russo really did want to turn the fans against the so-called Millionaires Club, Goldberg, Hogan, Flair, and so on, since it is clearly a choice to have the good guys show up late to the show that they are supposed to care about. We see a package for the impending Hulk Hogan versus Billy Kidman match with a special guest referee as Horace Hogan. They say this is either a stepping stone back towards the WCW title or the last match of Hulk Hogan's career. That tagline gives away the whole game. Mean Gene in the back with Hogan. Hogan says in the promo zone that Billy is a flea market champion, but he's not even a champion at all. It doesn't make any sense. Hulk now is going to beat a nobody if he wins this match, or when he wins this match, I guess, which never makes any sense to me. You need to make the guy that you're about to beat seem like you're beating somebody instead of you're beating a nobody. Kidman, like Mike Galton before him, has such terrible music. He and the special referee come out together. That doesn't seem like a good sign for Hogan, but maybe it's just a misdirect. Regarding music, this good guy Hollywood Hogan comes out to the NWO theme. Isn't that quite out of date? Billy is such a good babyface that it drives me nuts they have him working as a bad guy in this storyline. Although I am not a fan of the general idea of the Millionaires Club versus the New Blood anyway. I didn't like it when WCW did it. I didn't like it when TNA did it with the Frontline and the Main Event Mafia, and I certainly didn't like it when WWE did it with WWE and the Nexus. I just think that it makes much more sense to pair a young talent with an older, experienced talent, both on the good guy side and the bad guy side, to help elevate and educate the younger talent and not alienate the young guys by making them all bad guys, having the fans cheer for only elderly or elder statesmen. It's never been a thing that I thought made any kind of sense. Like if you were to have put Hollywood Hogan with Mike Awesome, wouldn't that have been cool? Instead of Mike Awesome being the career killer, why not have him be the guy that Hogan endorses? Because he's huge, he's athletic, he's got a full head of hair. Like, maybe Hogan wouldn't have done it, but I don't know. I can't see a downside to it. Whereas I definitely see a downside to every young wrestler being a bad guy. Billy Kidman is a bumping machine, but he always has been. Horace is basically a non-factor as far as not helping Kidman or the New Blood. This match, like all the other ones, suffer from that puppy not knowing what it wants stuff. And also, like the Awesome and Page match, we also have Tori Wilson coming out here. And also, like the Wall and Shane Douglas match, we have a pair of brass knuckles getting involved. It's like, did nobody communicate with one another in the year 2000 WCW? Billy gets the knuckles and hits Hogan, but of course it isn't enough, and Tori low blows Kidman. The match only went 11 minutes and 39 seconds, but it was an absolute trash match. 0 out of 5 stars. So many repeat spots throughout the show. Hogan won. Surprise, surprise. In the back, Bischoff is going bananas. He yells at a cop, and then the show promotes how on Sunday, July 9th, it'll be Bash the Beach, which seems like a much better date for Great American Bash, if you ask me, since it's within the week of 4th of July. Like, to me, Independence Day is what the Great American Bash is celebrating. This show's happening on June 11th, or happened on June 11th. Up next is the father versus son match. When they hype the match up in a package, Russo is way too involved. The same blonde interview lady I didn't recognize from the DDP backstage segment gets a few words in with Russo, who calls her Rapunzel and tells her to go find a big bad wolf. Way to mix metaphors, Vince. Mean Gene tells Flair that he believes Russo turned his son against him, and Flair is so skilled that he can convince me in this backstage promo that this might actually, he might be able to do the impossible and produce an enjoyable match for this encounter. David Flair with Vince Russo versus Ric Flair in one of the few non-gimmicked matches. Reed, Beth, Megan, and Ashley Flair are shown taking seats. Dang, it sucks that Reed died so young. Since they are all being shown, this makes me assume the family will play a role in the match. Is it a conscious choice that every member of the New Blood must have bad music? Because, like Kidman and Awesome before him, David's music compared to his dad's music, night and day difference. Even with Rick being up in age, this isn't 1992, he is way better at this than David, who, like Stasiak earlier in the show, is not ready for the spot that he's in. This match is a clear example of what was classically needed back in the NWA World Championship reign of Ric Flair. Go out there and make that kid, who isn't ready for the world title, look like he might win it tonight. David is making his pops work for his reputation, being a man who was known to be able to pull the best match out of anybody that he was in the ring with. And this is a real testament to that idea Ric Flair can have a good match with a broomstick. Charles Robinson not calling off the match when Vince Russo handcuffs Ric Flair is odd to me, especially given that Charles Robinson is called Little Nature Boy. But this is just further illustration of the talent the Nature Boy has at making his very weak son's offense look believable and good. Eventually, Reed Flair jumps into the action, and Charles Robinson is able to get the handcuffs off of Ric Flair, and I think Charlotte's the one who puts them on Russo when she's beating him down on the outside. I found the match surprisingly enjoyable when Rick slammed David off the top rope, like Rick himself generally falls prey to, and then Rick locks the younger Flair in the figure four. He wins at 10 minutes and 16-second mark. And it was a shockingly fine 3 out of 5 star match. After the match, Flair and his family, all but David, obviously, crotch chop Vince Russo from the top of the stage, and Russo, who probably thinks he inspired Thanos, says, "Fine, I'll do it myself. Tomorrow on Nitro, I'll retire Ric Flair." Tony Schiavone says, "Burn, baby, burn," because up next is the Human Torch match between Sting and Vampiro. I took a page of notes, but I refuse to give this segment disguised as a match any of my time. It went 7 minutes, 23 seconds. I hated all of those minutes. And this is one of the worst things that Vince Russo's era of WCW ever did. Sting lost, but really everybody lost. Sting, Vampiro, Russo, WCW. Wrestling broadly lost here. In the back, Eric Bischoff is confronted by that interview lady who, I'm just shocked they never told us her name. She brings up that Bischoff had promised a big surprise for this show. Eric says the big surprise is there is no big surprise. Like Hollywood Hogan before him, Kevin Nash also comes out to a very outdated theme song when he comes out to his Wolfpack music, which is the Wolfpack itself, the NWO Wolfpack, is long dead and gone. This main event match for the World Heavyweight Championship sees Kevin Nash challenging Jeff Jarrett, the Chosen One. Double J keeps up that trend of the new blood having bad music, which, alright, I guess this is done intentionally. The belt that Jeff is wearing is so stiff and rigid, and I don't know. It seems almost like a replica. What the crap? Ernest the Cat Miller interrupts Michael Buffer before the match can begin, and the only upside is, thankfully the cat is funny, so he brings out a special ring bell ringer, K-Dog Conan, a special timekeeper, Rey Mysterio, a special belt holder, is that even a role? Gives that to Disco. Then Juventud is called the special ring announcer, even though both guys had already been introduced by Michael Buffer. And then Ernest Miller makes himself the enforcer on the outside of the ring. This was just done as an excuse to stack the odds in Double J's favor because he's the chosen one of Vince Russo. Mark Madden calls Kevin Nash the Sexecutioner, which is such a weird evolution, going from Big Daddy Cool to Big Sexy, and now he's the Sexecutioner. I don't think I can get behind that. The commentators say how if anyone can overcome these odds, it's Kevin Nash. Big Kev does overpower Double J 3 times in a row with attempted collar and elbow tie-ups, which then leads to the Animals getting on the apron and Jarrett getting control and getting a few shots in on Nash in the corner. Kevin reverses and lifts his knee into Jeff's gut. The crowd begins to chant for Goldberg, and that's when I remember what tonight is, and I begin to dread the finish of this show. Of course, every match must go out and then back in and then out and back in. No creativity at all. I mean, might as well do an off-the-ladder spot into a table, bring some brass knucks, just copy, paste, repeat, all that stuff. I mean, where are a couple of blondes we can add to this match? Tony Schiavone says Kevin has had 3 major knee surgeries as Rey Mysterio, strikes one of Kevin Nash's knees with a chair. Jarrett then works over the leg that was blasted with the chair. Jarrett is clearly setting up for the figure four, but Kev is so big, he is almost always near the ropes. Nash selling is pretty good. I feel like Nash is taking a lot of damage in this match, which feels kind of uncommon. When Kevin gets to the ropes, Conan attacks him with the ring bell. Disco then takes out referee Mickey J, and the crowd is very excited when Goldberg's monster truck enters the arena. But just as I predicted, Bill isn't driving the monster truck. Why would he? Goldberg's music hits, and Bill comes out and he joins Jeff Jarrett and the New Blood, helping Double J retain at the 17-minute, 22-second mark. It was a totally passable 2 out of 5 stars match. But the story wasn't really the match. It was Bill Goldberg hugging Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo. The Baltimore crowd chants Goldberg sucks. And my final grade for this show is a fail. Like, sometimes a product, such as a show, is greater than the sum of its parts. But there were so many, and I would say a majority of bad parts in this, that the show itself was a failure. But I'll say this, I had fun, reminiscing about and remembering how wrong I was about the time. Because there are times when I think, oh, could WCW 2000 be better than I remember? And then I watch it and I'm like, no, it isn't. But thanks for tuning in. Come back all next week. Enjoy.